Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Jay. If this is your first time here, welcome to Wallet in Style. This channel is all about getting clarity with your numbers, reaching your financial goals, and buying the things that you love. And around here, we like to talk about luxury goods. So this video is going to be a little different because aside from what I do, I also have a bookkeeping practice. And I've been doing this for several years now, and I wanted to share this case study from a client of mine. She and I have been working together now for a few years. But when she came to me, she wanted to understand, how to organize her finances. She wanted to leave her corporate job and eventually go full-time into her business. So I always say before working with anybody who wants this type of lifestyle going forward, owning a business, I always say it's important to have your personal finances in order because you want to make sure that you go into this with a clear mindset. You have clarity around everything in your life, including your finances, so you're able to focus on this new endeavor. So I'm going to break it down for you in terms of parts. So this is officially part one. We're going to talk about her situation, and then I'm going to make a part two and probably a part three where I will show you what we did in terms of the plan and the end results. So let's go ahead and get started. And I'm going to share with you the first slide. And this slide is all about what she wanted at that time. So she was making $70,000 a year. And depending on where you live, this is pretty good income. So I wanted to know from her what her goals were, right? What did she want to accomplish? I said, just give me a couple of goals that you want to be able to reach between the next 6 to 12 months, which I think 6 to 12 months is very, very doable because 12 months, it kind of goes by really fast. So she is in the beauty space, which is why you have this picture here. And at that time, she was in her late 20s. So her goal was to start working at least part-time on this business. She wanted to pay off some credit cards, get a handle on her student loans, and she also wanted to have some savings and also to start investing, which I am all for. I think that was a great start. Saving for retirement, especially in your 20s, it's just going to help you in the long run. So this sort of kind of reminded of my situation, but this is a good way to just start planning. And if this is sort of like your situation, or maybe this is something you want to do, or you're in the middle of like learning about personal finance and you want to get a handle on things, this slide will definitely help you. So start with this, just start writing down the goals that you want to reach. All right, so then the next slide is all about what was causing her to be so overwhelmed. I recall talking to her and she was just like, I have no idea where my money is going. All I know is that it comes in and it goes right out. And I can totally understand. And I'm sure a lot of you can as well, because if you don't have some kind of system when it comes to your money is going to control you, and that's not what we want. She was overwhelmed. She had no way of tracking her money, even though she was into the whole digital finance apps. I think that at the beginning, I'd say just go the classic old school way. Just write things down, just get a piece of paper and just start writing, because sometimes these apps can be overwhelming and confusing. So that wasn't working for her. And then she also found herself paying for late fees, and she just was so overwhelmed she couldn't even focus on what she wanted to do. So that was probably the first step for her, just understanding the problem. Okay, so the next slide, it's all about doing an audit. So this was like sort of her homework assignment. And I do this with clients who come to me at the beginning and they want to take that path of becoming business owners. We got to do an audit. We got to understand where the problem is coming from. So I said to her, pull your credit report. We need to print out everything, all of your statements, because just understanding the finest thing are going to make a difference. And this is where you'll be able to find the late fees, interest charges, and just know exactly what you're paying and, of course, what you owe when it comes to the debt. The other thing that I suggested was to get a blank monthly calendar. You can do this as well. Just go to Google and just type in like free, calendar for whatever month and year you're doing this, because you want to be able to have sort of a canvas of writing down in, each day what's happening with your finances. And the reason why I did this with her was because when we first talked, she said, I have a lot of like credit cards, which you'll get to see how many in a couple of slides. But having just a blank calendar and also knowing all of your due dates is going to be very important here because of the fact that she was just making so many payments. Okay, so then the next slide is going to show you her current situations. Now, mind you, we're going back to where she was 2 years ago, but we wanted to summarize where her money was going. So we see that she had an income of $4,400 after taxes, and then we wrote down her living expenses, and then her lifestyle spending and the debt, which you'll see on the right-hand side. Now, the lifestyle spending, if this is an area where you're having challenges with, go back 60 days. We kind of did this in about a month, but I suggested to do, like a 2-month period when it came to her lifestyle spending, because we don't go out every week, but it sneaks up on us. So dining out, it's a popular one, shopping, and subscriptions. Like this is a big one. I know for me, I have a son, so sometimes he's like getting stuff on Roblox. I'm like, why is this showing up on my bill? But subscriptions are something that just kind of sneak up on us. So make sure that you understand, how much you're paying for everything. So when it came to her debt, you can see on the right-hand side that she had a total of 6 credit cards. And based on those 6 credit cards, she was paying a total of $350. And then her student loans, she was paying a total of $200. So when you look at the subtotal for, these 3 categories, you can see that her expenses exceeded her income and she was short by $120. So let me break down for you her credit card so you guys can see what I mean by that. So I listed everything on the left-hand side. We wanted to understand her balance for each card and her payment. So she had Chase, Capital One, Discover, Bank of America, Citi Card, and oh yes, Victoria's Secret is on here. So she was just making minimum payments. She wasn't really sending anything extra. And part of it was just because she didn't know she even had enough. And she was just so overwhelmed. She was just sending the payment and hoping that it would hit before the due date. And she was done with that. So between those credit cards, this is a lot. This is a lot of juggling back and forth. And now you can probably tell why I was explaining to her that we needed to get just a calendar to understand your due dates, because each one of these credit cards had different due dates, which means just on this slide alone with credit cards, she had to make sure that she was sending out 6 payments. Okay, so then you see also her total balance on the right-hand side of $12,550. And again, if you're only making minimum payments, it's going to take you forever to pay that off. So we will talk about this in another video, part 2. But I just want to show you, just an overall of what she owes for credit cards. Okay, and then the other slide are her student loans. And just to keep it simple, she has a total of 3 loans with a total balance of $27,500. Guys, we have to take care of our student loans. I understand that there's other programs out there that we can probably apply to, but in other words, do not, how can I explain it? Just make sure you pay your loans, okay? Don't just leave them there. You have to make payments. Even if it's, the minimum, just do it. So I wanted to understand the balance of each, what her interest rates are for each loan, and we will also talk about interest rates in the other video. And just know what her monthly payments were. So $90 for loan number 1, $70 for loan number 2, loan number 3, which is a private loan, and that's $40. I'm not, a favorite of private loans, but we can talk about that in a different video. But for those 3, she had a total monthly payment of $200. So if we were to go back to her credit card, she has 6 due dates plus 3 due dates here, and then everything else that she had to pay within a month. All right, so I'm gonna leave it here because I don't want to overwhelm anybody, and I want this to be as simple as possible. If this is your situation, go back to the video and take notes, write down your situation. But I want to be able to just give you this first video, and then in the second video is where we're going to do the plan, okay? And then how we turn that $120 that she was overspending into a month where she was able to see a positive surplus cash flow. So this was all done without her cutting out everything that she loved, because at the end of the day, we do have to live, guys. All right, so let me know what you think. Comment below, come hang out and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Check out all the links down on the description box, how you and I can connect, how we can work together. Check out my Etsy store, guys. I just started to do this. Absolutely love it. That was a lot of fun. If you want to have a creative way on how to manage your finances, check that out. Check out the website for my bookkeeping services if that is something that you enjoy. And not enjoy, but if you need help with. And the blog. The blog is up, thewalletandstyle.com. I have tons of posts there as well. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys on my next video.